All right, folks, listen, get ready. At 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Eastern, Pastor Melvin Whittington and myself, we're going to be right here with one of the most powerful live Wednesday night Bible study and giving you all the current world events. Listen, they've just put in a brand new prime minister in Israel and a brand new president, and they're going to shift this whole Holy Land thing left. Where will Israel stand then? Are they trying to part the land? And there's a ton of other stuff, like you wouldn't believe persecution that's coming. All I want to say is this. Go to www.ffctv.info. That's www.ffctv.info. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be powerful. Are they trying to part the land? We'll look at all these things tonight. Don't miss it.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Getting Ready. I'm Pastor Melvin Whittington from the Freedom Fellowship Church in the Villages, and we are so glad that you have chosen to join with us tonight. Pastor Paul is going to take us to Scripture, and then we're going straight to Israel on Israel, and he's going to tell us about some very important, late-breaking, prophecy-packed news that has happened just today. Pastor Paul.
Thank you, Pastor Melvin. You know, the Bible tells us in Joel chapter 3 that there was going to be a time that we really don't want to see happen of the parting of the land. Let me read to you this prophecy. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
So when the Bible talks about that, Pastor Paul, it talks about it in past tense.
It does.
In other words, it's telling us that it is going to happen.
Yes.
Now, in order for that to happen, you know, certain leaders are going to have to be out of the picture, because had we kept the leader we had and Israel kept the leader that they had, there's no way that parting the land would be tolerated by this country or no. Right. So now we have some late breaking news, and we see that we've been saying that everything is set up by God and everything is going to work out exactly the way He wants it to in end time events. We're going now to Israel, and he is going to talk to us about what is happening in Israel. We call this Israel on Israel, and he's going to tell you about what's happening.
Hey everybody, can you hear me all right out there? All right, cool. So today, a lot of people that are watching the developments in Israel, they just had their fourth elections, and they've been struggling to form a government. Netanyahu was not able to, so it went over to Naftali Bennett to be able to form a government with Yair Lapid. And it looks like tonight they have officially decided on a government to form. It's a coalition of left and right, and there is just so many things happening right now. Also, Isaac Herzog was elected the 11th president of the state of Israel by a wide margin. Pastor Moen, if you would put the Jerusalem Post story that we have up there, this is a big deal. I remember reading a story on this about how the president is kind of seen as royalty in Israel. It's kind of a symbolic role, but it's apolitical. So people around the world, when they speak to the president of Israel, it's not the same as the prime minister. The prime minister is very political and involved in the day-to-day, in the trenches with all that going on.
Right.
So Isaac Herzog, he's the son of a former Israeli president, so that he won by a big margin. And now it looks like they're going to be putting a new actual government in. If you could go to the other story, Melvin, Yair Lapid tells Riv